By listening to the following, you are acknowledging that the comments, opinions, and analyses expressed by Metatope LLC, its representatives, or any other contributor are for informational purposes only and should not be considered individual investment or legal advice or recommendations to make an investment or adopt any investment strategy. You should be aware of the real risk of loss when buying and selling any assets, including but not limited to NFTs, tokens, or securities. Always conduct your own research and strongly consider seeking the advice of a financial or legal expert. And now, here's Crypto Chris G with TopeTalk.
Hello and welcome everyone to the inaugural session of TopeTalk. My name is Walker on Chain and I'm thrilled to be your host today. We've got Chris tuning in. He's still going to be popping off. Just wanted to give it a little change up and y'all have to let him know when I do better.
No, real quick, Walker. I'm actually on the Metatope account too. I texted you, so I'm not going to log it off. I'll just leave it going because it seems it's working for both of us to be on the same space, which is funny. But yeah, if for some reason you get any issues, let me know and I'll get off that account or whatever.
Sweet. Thanks, bro. Well, guys, whether you are a seasoned Metatope enthusiast or just curious about what all the buzz is about, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be deep diving, sharing stories, and exploring the fascinating world of crypto. As you can see, we're all trying to figure out why we're here. Before we get started, I'm just going to give a quick market analysis, kind of look at what's been going on. I think that's always a great way to start the discussion. This week it was a bloody in a lot of markets. We have seen a pop in crypto, but S&P and Bitcoin both showing signs of volatility with general downward action. That changed a little bit in the crypto markets over the past 48 hours. The movements in these markets can be influenced by Fed decisions, global geopolitical events, and economic data releases. Also, we know the strength of the US dollar has a big impact on both equities and cryptocurrencies. A strong dollar can put pressure on commodities and assets priced in USD, including Bitcoin. We did see the dollar make a pullback over the last day. And there's a very strong support for the dollar right around that 105.90 level, actually coming up on it now. And I mean, really ever since July, the dollar has just been absolutely ripping all the way up from 99 over 106 here. And we're just going to have to see, if we set a higher base here, we flip this level to support, it's probably likely that we see the dollar make another push to the upside and continuing to put some of that downward pressures on equities. So, looking ahead, it's essential to monitor the Fed. A big reason that we saw the sell-off in the S&P, over 6%, pretty significant sell-off for, such a large market. Was mainly due to the announcement of the Fed, really their standpoint on inflation, saying, hey, interest rates are likely to stay, high for an extended period of time. We're not even thinking about interest rate cuts yet. And we'll just have to see. It's really interesting going into an election year. Historically, I don't believe we've ever seen an election year where interest rates didn't fall. So will this time be any different? We're going to have to wait and see. Q4 is typically your best quarter for earnings for companies. All right, that's where they make their money. That's when the consumer's spending. Typically, we get strong earnings reports, and a lot of times, you see that end of the year rally. So we'll be looking for all those things, and we will definitely keep you updated. So, guys, I want to dive in with the panel. We're talking about why are we here, what the future of cryptocurrency is. Ahmed, all of these claims that NFTs are completely valueless. I saw some reports, I think over 95% of all NFTs had a zero Ethereum value. And, then we see adoption like the leak from Xbox this week that they would be integrating a crypto wallet into their software. And for anybody that doesn't know, Xbox is owned by Microsoft. This is a huge company. I would love to get your guys' thoughts and kind of where you see that evolving.
All right, I'll go. What's up, guys? Happy Thursday. Good to see everybody. I was just checking out Paul Position's Ute down there and the audience. It's pretty cool traits. Anyway, regarding the question, super bullish, man. I think that was probably the biggest leak in Microsoft history. The opportunity that they're going to present is probably going to be very seamless. So they'll probably build the wallets in the background, and you'll have an opportunity to probably get your private keys. But I would assume that it's going to be pretty fifth grade level, so that the average consumer on Xbox is going to just, have it happen, and it's going to be behind the scenes, right? So, really excited, man. Actually, I think that's some of the best news NFTs have had in a while, and it's not even news yet. So, I'm hopefully that we see a lot of interoperability between Xbox and other ecosystems regarding potentially it'd be pretty sick to bring a call it or a Counter-Strike knife into one of their games and stuff. So yeah, man, really excited to see what Cryptomatic has to say about it.
GN, everybody, good to be here. Yeah, I mean, I think it's super interesting that we're starting to see the big boys get into it. I know that I've seen some rumblings. I can't really put my finger on where I saw it, but I know that I've seen stuff about Sony as well, PlayStation getting involved in this side of things as well. I don't know if it was such a big dump of info, but you got to bet they have their eyes on it as well. So I think as we start to see, gaming is a great way, I think, to onboard a whole lot of people at once into blockchain technology, right? When we talk about, the mass adoption, I mean, NFTs are great, and NFTs, their art, they have usability depending on what project and how are we going to use them. But when you talk about games, everybody can play games, right? And a lot of people play games. And so this melting of these two worlds, I think, is a natural fit. And I'm really excited to see where it goes, not just to what gaming is going to bring to the blockchain, but to when that happens, how all of these NFTs and the blockchain will fit into gaming.
Love that, guys. I think those are great takes, and just to echo, some of your guys' points, but I think that gaming is the biggest opportunity that crypto has for mass adoption, and truly offering those railways into crypto that are that are really valuable to the end user, and I think that that's the thing that we have to get to for mass adoption is like a true use case that millions of people need, right? And we've seen that with like the fiat rails and the payment rails. But when you talk about developed nations and really like evolved societies, where are they spending their time? What are they doing? And gaming is just such a natural flow as we continue to move more into the metaverse of really having digital property rights in the metaverse and having ownership of those goods and being able to represent that and trade them and own them. So very, very excited. And, as we kind of look at, the overall adoption of crypto, we're seeing, TechCrunch, even Chainalysis come out and show that adoption has actually risen significantly. Chainalysis reported that over a 45% worldwide increase of crypto wallets. They're citing up to 66 million. Now, I think all of us know in the space, a lot of people create multiple wallets for many different reasons. All right, so it's really interesting to kind of think about how that really factors down. Also within those leading crypto adoption markets, they looked at Southern Asia, and specifically places like India, Vietnam, and the Philippines as some of the largest growth areas. I mean, India is massive, right? Seeing the technology spread across a nation so vast, and I think that can really use it in many ways, is very exciting, right? But amidst that, we also have reports, and I think there's different ways to look at it. But now that 95% of NFTs are valueless. So as the panel, talks about, the vast opportunity that we see in gaming, do you guys think that like the current landscape of NFTs is going to revive, or if things are going to have to change dramatically to see that value restored?
Well, I think you have to look at it two ways, right? First is, what do you consider value, right? Of course, there's monetary value, but there are also a lot of other things that can be considered value to people, right? Many people may have bought certain NFTs purely for the artistic side of it, or there may be NFTs that have utility with them. They're a pass of some sort. They're not on the artistic side, right? So value comes in a lot of different forms, I'll say, right? But in terms of the monetary value, I think that's only going to return, right, when we see these things start to hook up, with the larger ecosystems, with why do I want to own one of these, right? You onboard mass adoption not when things cost a whole bunch of money, right? Because when things are super expensive, you've cut the amount of people who can get in, by a massive percentage, right? We're now in that area where we are onboarding new people. While it's great, I can tell you from a lot of projects that I'm in, large and small, all the time I'm seeing now, this is my first NFT I bought. Oh, I'm new to this community. Like, people are using this opportunity to start to acquire, to get into things that they didn't before, right? So I think we're in a very unique position. I think the next step has to come, and it has to come really as we go into the end of the year and into next year. And that next step has to be showing people what they can do with these things. And we know Metatope, many others are right on the verge of starting to introduce these products and services that are going to show people what you can do with these digital items, this digital ownership, and why you should own them.
Love that take. And yeah, I think you said something very important, John, that we're going to get to you. And so is that, value it can be placed in many different areas. And, all of those, those areas, whether it is, the attention economy, or there's like utility behind the project, or, different ways that value can be created. The monetary value is truly just a reflection of that, right? And so if you're able to look at it from an unemotional standpoint, and really look at these projects and identify the different.
Do with this Walker?
How sustainable. No, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're back. You sound like you're about to
Sorry,
get
yeah,
a
I
phone
did.
call.
And so, when you break it down to those specific areas, you can really evaluate whether a project has staying power. So I think that was awesome. Go ahead, Enzo.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. But one of the things that happened this week, did you guys hear about the Pudgy Penguins going live in, I think it was 2000 Walmarts, if I'm not mistaken. They had their Pudgy Penguin like I think they're like stuffed animals go on Walmart. So I mean they've been able to create value by having that and their little connect game online. You can connect your Pudgy Penguin in. So I mean, yeah, they're still bringing value to the NFT space, even though like we're in a bear market. Liquidity's been drained out of the market. I mean, they were still able to bring some value to the market and the holders. So that was some news that came out this week that was really bullish for their project. I think it pumped their price up a little bit.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, that's good points. I mean, I think that age group that really spends the most money online and on, Web 2 digital collectibles such as like Fortnite or Counter-Strike cases. I mean, Counter-Strike cases right now, because Counter-Strike 2 came out today, is absolutely going bonkers. I think they crashed the store, but it just shows the power, and it's just going to take time. I mean, those people are very stubborn. They're so used to one direction because they really want to just play video games, and they're so used to, like, as a Web 2 gamer myself, I'm so tired of like pay to win models. The pay to win thing has completely put a huge like memory, like PTSD situation in for whenever you try to buy something. or like it has like value. So, you always think you got to spend a lot of money to get like to that tier of gameplay. So I think it's going to require these AAA gaming companies such Sony and Xbox to really create the structure. Because I mean, as much as I'm bullish on Web3 games, these aren't, like a lot of these people either come from a studio or they haven't, and they just like have a vision and they know they can build it because they got, Web3 money coming from NFT launches and stuff. But it's like, I do think that we're going to see, when we see some of these games come into the space and when it's a little safer, maybe there's an ETF out there. Speaking of news today, BlackRock got delayed again by the SEC, which is pretty lame. But there's also news that there might be one tomorrow next week. But anyway, regarding the games, I just think that, I think that it's a mixed combination of retail. Pudgy Penguins, awesome job by Luca getting that deal done within a year. That's absolutely insane. In fact, VCs thought he couldn't get it done in a year, so they didn't, and now they're FOMO'd. True story. And it's kind of crazy to think that, like, if you really look at conversion numbers from what happens at Walmart with this product, if you convert like 1% of like, a bunch of people, probably at some point millions. I mean, there's going to be thousands of new active wallets collecting these things, if not just learning it. And I think that Luca is one of the best founders in the space at creating a welcoming position. I mean, Pudgy Penguins are extremely adorable and welcoming as an NFT, and it seems like the community behind it's also very, just very soft, not too much drama, like, so that's the thing where we have a lot of good founders in this space, and they all have their own type of personalities, and it's going to be exciting to also see Jordan as one of the founders and Walker, and see how we as Metatope come in and disrupt and absolutely, try to build as our side of the leadership too, because we're in a completely different field when it comes to our collection. And if everything goes right, hopefully liquidity comes back into the market through disruptive technologies such as our own and others that we know about, and then also games. I think these games are going to be a great onboarding tool, and I know Walker's bullish on Web3 gaming being one of the staples of adoption.
Yeah, and with Pudgy Penguins, it's really interesting to kind of think about that philosophy. And Chris, you pointed out, we're really focused on, the software side, and I think that play was much more on the the awareness side. And I don't know what the long-term vision there is. Something that I could definitely see playing out is as you get those products into Walmart and hopefully, familiarize the consumer base with that intellectual property, maybe get that into the minds of kids and potentially have a really great opportunity to do, like a network series or some type of cartoon with that IP. Go ahead, Kruger.
Yeah, you just said it. You just let it into me right there. Thank you. Like using that IP to do a cartoon, right? Something like Gremgoyles is doing. They've already signed deals. They're in the process of putting together an animated series for Netflix, I believe. So we're going to start to see these projects that we've seen in the crypto world, on crypto Twitter. We're starting to see them emerging into that real world market in different ways, right? In Walmart stuffed animals, in animated series, in gaming. Like this is how mass adoption happens, right? It starts to sneak out, and suddenly you don't realize that the show you're watching or the toy you're playing with is actually connected to Web3 and crypto in the end.
Yeah, just to point out one more thing I saw yesterday as I was like prospecting a little bit was I went on MMORPG.com and MMO Huts, and there is actually upcoming games on these traditional websites that are, when you click on the game and you look at like if there's microtransactions, this is an NFT, this is a Web3 NFT blockchain game. So those are going on Steam, by the way. So like there is now a drip of some of these Web3 games that do have some substance to them. Absolutely going to be in front of Web2 people, and it's probably going to be in this nice small letters that this is an NFTs blockchain, because you don't want to scare anybody off. And if you get the people in the game, I'm sure like if they're having fun and enjoying it, that's not really going to be a big deal to them. But man, if they for some reason somebody sees the word NFT Web3 blockchain ahead of time, it's like the biggest turnoff. So I look forward to seeing how Steam penetrates the market with this blockchain tech.
Go ahead, Enzo.
So regarding the whole IP usage and doing a cartoon. Walker, I had a question for you. You might know the rules regarding this a lot better than I do. So when they take the IP and they create a cartoon, will they be subject to the same to getting sued with the SEC, just like what was it, Stoner Cats that got sued a couple of weeks ago? Or like, will there have to be some really big fundamental changes within the SEC's laws and terms for stuff like that to be available for people to use the IP of something they have and own to be able to make cartoons for people to watch and stuff like that?
So I am not an attorney, and there's a lot of different facets to this, right? But if you break it down, from my very rudimentary understanding, you got to look at the licensing agreement with the holders, right? What have you promised them? What rights do they have to the IP, and therefore like the usage of it? You have to look at like the promises that the company is making to the investor, right? I'm not sure exactly the intricacies of either of the parties' agreements, but I believe that I remember with like Stoner Cats, they were selling the Stoner Cats like as characters that would be in the show that you would own, and kind of, I mean, because it was like Ashton and Mila, right? And they were kind of using their stardom to say, hey, we have a ton of pull in Hollywood. We can produce a great show and you're going to own a piece of that, right? Fundamentally, that's very different than selling an asset like a Pudgy Penguin, building a brand around it, and then launching a show, right? So, and again, I am not an attorney by any means, but I do think they're very different scenarios. Does that answer your question, Enzo?
Yeah, I just wanted to
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
like get your take because you've been in the space for a lot longer than I have. So yeah, I understand that you're not an attorney, but yeah, you pointed out the clear differences between what Stoner Cats did and how people go about like selling assets and then what they do with the IPs. So yeah, thank you for clearing that up.
Of course. What you got, Medic?
I also am not an attorney, but I did go to law school for a little while, and I have done some research. So I will say this, that primarily it's my understanding that what the SEC has done, not just to Stoner Cats, but the other projects or coins or people that they've gone after, what it really boils down to is making promises about value that you cannot make when you are selling somebody something. You cannot sell an asset or anything to somebody and promise them that it potentially will be worth more later. Not without going through the SEC and going through a whole bunch of paperwork. And even then, you cannot promise somebody that it will go up, right? And that's in essence what these projects got caught doing, was saying that, if you buy this, we're so famous that there's no doubt it will be worth more. But you can't really say that. And that's really what got them in trouble. When you look at some of the good projects that are doing it right, like Pudgy Penguins, like Graham Goyle's right, they're talking about, hey, we're selling you something. We're not telling you what's going to happen with it. It's being sold at face value, right? It is cute. It has the ability to do X, Y, Z. You're in a community, whatever those propositions are that are in their terms and conditions, right? Then beyond that, it certainly appears that these companies, these projects, are attempting to take their holders to a higher value by providing a brand, right? And we know that if there's a brand and people go and see Pudgy Penguins in Walmart and they get excited about them, they find out they can actually own a digital one, like that potentially can increase value. So there's a lot of nuances to how you go about increasing value to holders in blockchain and in crypto, and in doing it almost the way that Web 2 companies have been doing it, which is you have to build value, you can't promise value.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's such a touchy situation right now. I mean, what company wants to follow up like seeing that, or what celebrities want to come into the space after they see like it's probably their friends getting sued. So I think that it would be nice to see what education goes into. Like, I'm sure there's going to be some people that have like celebrity friends that do want to enter the space properly, and there's been a few bad actors. I mean, Soldier Boy's taken a lot of liquidity out of our market. Um, and some of these other guys like just kind of launched and forgot about it. But I do find value in these celebrities such as like Rihanna partnering up with an NFT company to produce revenue generation out of the as like a membership of the NFT for every time her song's played. So I do see value for musicians, and we have a lot of great Web3 musicians already that are using NFTs and creating a kind of paving the road, such as Famous Dill, great guy. And I love what he's grinding, man. He's all over Instagram too with like his videos about his music, and I think all that hard work will pay off. Leading into the next bull cycle of NFTs, which if it goes right, we're gonna see a super cycle because when it rains, it pours, and we're the only ones left. As you can see, all 9 of us, all 10 of us are the only ones left in NFTs. What else? That's it. I don't know anybody else in the space. Everyone I talk to is working at McDonald's. I'm going next week, gonna get my sweep the floor application, and I don't know what those things look like anymore.
I don't know if they hire crypto bros, by the way. I put in a job application like 3 weeks ago and they still haven't hit me back up. And the last thing on there was Metatope. And yeah, I just don't think they hire Web3 people.
You gotta be patient, bro. Only good things come to those who wait. Next week you're gonna get the manager role, no doubt. So, talking about the barrier to mainstream adoption with crypto, do you guys think that it is a UX issue or a product market fit issue?
Both.
Go ahead, Enzo.
I think with uh, onboarding and mass adoption, I think it's a people like for the majority of the part, people think that crypto is still a scam. Like my dad knows that I've been in this space for over a year, and he still to this day thinks that I'm getting scammed in the space. Even though he has seen me make money, he has seen me lose money. Most of the money I lost was in like meme coins, so it wasn't like the actual space's fault. It was like my own bad research. But aside from that, like he still to this day, because Bitcoin went from 69,000 to now sitting at 27,000, he thinks it's a scam. And I think there's a lot of people when you bring up crypto that think that it's still a scam and it will eventually get shut down. So I don't think it's an interface problem. I don't think it's an advertising problem. I think until we see regulation come to this specific asset class, then people just won't adopt it because they still in their head, until the government says it's okay, will believe that this is a scam. Until the government says this is okay now.
Yo, real quick, shout out to CEO Tim in the building from Rare Pepe's. That's an absolute killer NFT. Every time I see him come in space, it's hard to miss.
How we doing, CEO?
What's going on? I was coming through the portal, so I apologize. Thanks for having me, guys. And I heard the shout out, so I appreciate it. And Chris, I just got back to your DM, so I'm going to give you a proper response shortly. But on the topic, right? I think this is very pertinent because I think a lot of people they're still here for the wrong reason. Like we're here, but people are still so hyper focused on the financial aspect and really are not creating products that solve any real world issues, and nobody's really bringing things to market that people really care about. I think that's still the biggest issue here. And we look at companies like what are they called? They just raised 16 million. IYK. and they have relatively small followers. I think they have like 5,000 followers or something like that on their account, but they just raised $16.8 million in a seed round from A16Z because they're bringing, fidgels to, or digi-physical as they call it, where they're working with like 90cc and G Money. They are working with cyber brokers and Josie Bellini and put in, like the tap to authenticate, things of that nature. Right. I'm like, okay, this makes sense, right? These are things that the world really needs for adoption, even with what Luca and Pudgy Penguins have done recently with their fidgetals in Walmart with the QR code. You can scan it. So it's a $9 toy. It gets you a digital asset. It gives you an asset that is also an in-game asset. Yeah, do things like that. So we need to kind of really pivot in everybody's approach to this space about, hey, let's make money and let's get rich overnight. Everybody needs to have at least a 3 to 5 year time horizon on what they're building, what they're trying to develop and to deliver, and things could be okay at that point. If you still have this hyperbolic, hey, I want to get 100x in 2 days or 2 months or 6 months, go to the real world, try to build a business there, and see how long it really takes to get traction and how many companies actually survive, right? But I digress.
It's a fraction, and to echo that, like any business is difficult, and NFTs are such a new technology. And I think, some of us understand the intrinsic value and the ways that we can take archaic processes across almost every business model and, implement NFTs in a way that allows for a much higher level of efficiency. CO, we were talking earlier about the, unbelievable value expansion that we're going to see in digital assets facilitated through NFT technologies. Just to recap, we saw Xbox this week announce, or actually was leaked, that they would be integrating a crypto wallet, and seeing, Chris brought up that we're now seeing games come onto stream, and have these blockchain aspects integrated. So it's really exciting to see. I agree with you guys. I think the product market fit is by far the biggest barrier, right? The UX comes with those type of applications. You aren't going to see large companies produce shit front ends. And that's really the thing. We look at the Web3 gaming ecosystem, and these developers have been incentivized to create, these very basic, very 2D, in many cases, shitty game loop models so that they could produce that revenue aspect. And as we see more builders come into this space and expand, I believe that we're going to see incredible games come out of this space and truly reign as some of the top games in the world because of the mechanics and the value proposition that is going to be offered to the players. On a broader breadth, we saw Forbes this week do an article that claims crypto integration is the key to the dollar remaining the global reserve currency. That's a huge statement. And this is actually something in the past that I've argued sometimes is, when you look at the US dollar, every country in the world except 6, maybe it's a few more now, hold US dollars to back their local currency. And as the dollar, is facing all of these geopolitical risks, all of this, just all of this negativity from the way that we've abused it, having a technology, having a truly democratic money that can be facilitated globally just through, internet and blockchain technologies, in some ways preserves the value of the US dollar if the majority of that is being offboarded into USD. So I would love to get your guys' take on if you see Bitcoin being a core centerpiece of the continued success of the dollar. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was just Rebecca, I was just shopping OpenSea at the rare Pepe's, man. I can't not own one for the discount we're receiving on those bad boys. They're absolutely hilarious. There's like pink lingerie on a pair of Pepe's, just got me cracked up. But yeah, I think Bitcoin is the start, and it's going to be for a lot of people, it's going to be what the mainstream media is going to attach to, and I think it'll be a store of value. I think it doesn't really have like a huge purpose for like speed, right? It's just more security. So I think that it's here to stay, and I think it'll essentially, I think we all agree that after having cycles, the price should capitulate and then reach its next destination. And I'm really excited. I think like Tim was saying, business plans for NFT projects 1 to 3 years out. I mean, who knows what type of technology we'll be messing with? Start somewhere and keep your eyes open, because it could be Bitcoin, something built on Bitcoin. It could even be something built on Arbitrum. You just never know. And I think that Bitcoin will always be kind of like the old person's coin, like the grandpas and grandmas will kind of know how to use that, and that'll serve its purpose. But for like younger generations, I feel like they'll know what Bitcoin is, but they'll most likely be using like one of the other layers, right? Oops,
Love
actually.
that. Go ahead, CO.
Yeah, and wanted to add to what you're saying as well, Enzo and Chris as well. And Chris, always I love the shout outs, man. But here's the thing, I'll give some context. So I used to work for a big bank in Canada, right, for 10 years, a decade. So I know how broken and how antiquated the financial system really is, right? And I can speak about it. I was a risk analyst, business process improvement, operational risk at the corporate level. So I seen all the deeply rooted broken GUI interfaces or GUI interfaces to kind of slap on top of a broken DOS system to how they adjudicate mortgages, and it's really, really bad, right? And I knew that it was going to crumble at some point in time in the future. We're getting there, right? Like, look at the reserves right now, how banks can loan out $100 trillion and not have to have the reserves there to back that money, right? So when I think about Bitcoin being immutable, and even yesterday with Gary Gensler, right, and him kind of on the ropes, and they're asking him, hey, okay, Bitcoin's not a security, but you're not willing to say it's a commodity. And like you said, Chris, it's a store of wealth, right? So isn't that a commodity like gold or like silver or like palladium or like any other commodity out there? So, I think once we start to have that actual dialogue and really understand that this type of money, this type of sovereignty, this type of freedom, decentralization, right? What we're talking about here, to give people the access to have the power, how the governments operate, how the banks operate, and they're not operating with our best intentions in mind, right? I'm just being real. I used to work for them, right? And I left that world, right? So. And the second piece I'll say, back to businesses in Web3 and NFTs and crypto businesses, I used to be in the music business. Once I left my banking career, I went into the music business. And this is 2011, 2012, before Instagram was really big. So I had to pivot and see these new technologies and tools and Spotify, these things come out as I'm building a business in real time and figure out ways to integrate these new advancements into my business model. So when I say 3 to 5 year horizon, I'm not saying you have to be so rigid with your business plan, but be adaptable. And a lot of people here, they're so fixated on their roadmap or their core business plan from when they tried to launch the product, and they're not really flexible enough to roll with the punches, to integrate the new technology, even with the new stuff with AI and all the different things that are happening with the AI. A lot of founders and CEOs are reluctant to adopt AI into their business practices, and I don't understand why. I digress.
And, for anybody that doesn't know, the Federal Reserve has a requirement for banks, and it's a reserve rate. During Donald Trump's era, he actually lowered it to 0%. Now it is back to 10%, but that's all of the outstanding loans and the checking account balances. The bank is only required to hold 10%, and it's really it's just such an over leveraged system. Another example, there's over 200 times the amount of paper gold traded as there is physical gold that exists, right? We've used these future markets and all of this debt and leverage and just have created this financial structure, that seemingly is very unsustainable. Now, my outlook is, because I want to be positive and I want to be optimistic, right? And how do you get out of this like ever inflating cycle that we've put ourselves into? And the simple answer is a deflationary reality. And I believe that technology is the most deflationary thing we've ever seen. You think about the last 20 years, and the rate of innovation that we've seen on technology, and you fast forward to today, and you introduce artificial intelligence, robotics, and machine learning to the mix, and in the next 20 to 50 years, in my eyes, just look so much more expansive than anything that we have experienced in recordable history, that I do believe that it is maybe even likely that we could see goods and services decrease by massive margins, 50% plus, over the next couple of decades because of those innovations. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how it plays out. Guys, I want to give a special shout out to CryptoMedic. He is going to be on Dead Files tonight. So make sure that you guys tuned in. I just posted it up to the top.
Travel
That's
channel,
super
baby.
cool. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Medic, your experience?
Let's go.
Well, you have to watch the show to see what the experience is. I'll say that.
Oh, no spoilers?
No spoilers, but I will tell you that the experience of having gone through having a world-class medium in my home and being involved with a television crew, it was really life-changing experience for us as a family. And I think we didn't have, for those of you who aren't familiar with the show, it's not the type of show where they come with devices and try to get spirits to talk to you or anything like that. It's very revealing in energies and in the things that happen throughout time on this planet that leave trace echoes behind. And I learned a lot from it. It really changed my views on a lot of things.
Wow, that is really it's a very unique experience. I hope that you appreciate it, and it's something that none of us may ever experience. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that, John. Guys, before we close it out today, I would love to just go around the panel. You can give a one-liner, a two-liner, or give us your story. But I would love to know what the core reason is that you are in this space. Chris, we're going to start with you anyway, baby, because you're right beside me.
Let's go. Real quick, I just scooped Rara Pepe 9638, a little robot dude. 0.1 buy, and it was last time bought at 0.8. And the floor of those things, man, that was an easy catch. But
so before we move on, Chris, and I would love to hear from you and Sia. But what is the value of the Rare Pepe IP? Why do you see that expanding?
I mean, because I've seen CEO Tim in a bunch of spaces. Typically, founders of like collections, as price go low, they give up and they run away. And the man's been grinding. He's been here the entire time. And I was like, you know what? Might as well take a look, because I didn't realize that they, everything's been going low, but I think this is, I think they're going to, like, the Pepe always will be here. So Rare Pepe is, just to me seems like a good call. I don't know. I just, when he came in here, I'm like, oh shit, I should look at that collection. It's been a while. But I'd love to hear from Tim, like, what's going on. But to answer your question real quick, I'm in the space because I've never liked banks. I've been treated so poorly when I was growing up, when I had, was in school and had no money, and just the amount of overdraft fees and like things and just the treatment just never left. And when I found crypto, I just love the idea of decentralization. I mean, that's why I'm hardcore degen and buying coins that are meme names and have no value whatsoever. And watching money go up and down is pretty thrilling. I mean, the emotion that comes in, like when you're euphoric, even depressed, like when you start to understand these feelings, I don't think there's a harder position in this world than a crypto trader, because it's the only place you can find 100Xs and the only place you can find badass communities. And I look forward to going through a complete cycle with NFTs. I mean, crypto, been there, done that, but like NFTs, to see all this community come back in. And I mean, we all know NFTs throw the best parties IRL. So yeah, that's why I'm here. I just love this space. It's an all-in-one. Wake up every day happy to see the world evolve crypto over time.
Love that, Chris. Medic, why are you here, baby?
I'm gonna go a little shorter. Hey, look, y'all keep saying NFTs are dead, the space is dead. What better place for a medic than where everybody's dead? I'm gonna help revive this place. That's why I'm here.
That was pretty good. Enzo, you're going to have a tough one to follow up, kid. What do you got?
I honestly don't know how to follow that up. That made my entire night. But I'm here because I 100% believe that crypto is our future. We're headed into a future where self custody is the only option we're going to have, because we don't have trust in the traditional financial system anymore. And I like to hold my own money, be part of the team that has self custody, and I don't like banks getting in the way of every transaction that I make. So, yeah, I'm here for the anonymity. I think that's the right word. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but
Anonymity.
yeah, that's the number one reason I like to keep to myself, and I don't like the government knowing every single transaction I make, and they don't have any right to it. So I think that's where our future is headed.
Love that. And we have the last, but not near the least, a great founder, NCO. What's going on, my guy? Why are you here?
And thank you for that. And a small correction. So I'm the head of communications for the project. The co-founder is actually like a rare Pepe Bitcoin, like aficionado legend, rare designer. So he made the Pepe Lisa, so owned by the Cosmo, the Medicis, Keyboard Monkey, Dingaling, they all own that piece of work. So he's the co-founder of the Rare Pepes. That's why I bought in, because this guy's like a legend. He predates CryptoPunks, but I digress, right? You can look into more of the detail, like we have all that stuff online. But why I'm here too. So I think about why I'm in Web3, why I started investing in crypto back in 2015, 2016, buying Bitcoin, being in part of ICOs, buying ICO stuff, was because I was like a kid. I was a teenager when I saw Google boom, Yahoo boom. AOL was kind of when I was a little bit younger, but when I seen YouTube come out, when I seen Facebook come out, and I couldn't invest, right? I was still too young. I was spending money on liabilities and depreciating assets, buying cars and clothes and jewelry and sneakers and things that sneakers kind of appreciate, but not to the tune of like how crypto and these kind of assets appreciate. So now, being much older and now having the opportunity to be involved at the ground level of this new iteration of the web, where we can actually have ownership, right? Not just being able to contribute in podcasts or being able just to digest information with Web 1. Now we have ownership and sovereignty. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be bigger than what Google did. This is going to be bigger than what Facebook did. This is why I'm here, because now I can be at the ground floor. I can contribute in a positive way. I can gather knowledge and still be a student, be forever a student in this space, and we can help people. So my passion is to help create as many success stories as I can, help create as many millionaires as I can, not because so they can be rich and to flex and to just to have freedom and to change the narrative of generational wealth. Because I'm a visible minority. I'm an African-American guy, right? So me being able to do what I do and what I've done with my life, I said, okay, I'm the anomaly, right? So if I can help to bestow and share knowledge and help people, get to that point, that's what crypto and Web3 and that means decentralization. That's what that means for me. I'm not a big fan of the institution. So I think that's pretty clear why we're all here, right?
That was incredible, Sia. Very, very touching, man. That's what it's about, about genuine interest and wanting to support, our fellow individual and see that actualization and a better life for them. And guys, with that, it has been an incredible space. Thank you so much for everyone that was on the panel, all of our listeners, and we will be here same time next week. We love the energy and all of the amazing conversation. Let's keep the good vibe discussions rolling on Twitter. We'll catch y'all next week. Peace out.